We open on a beautiful village nestled among mountains and lush greenery, resting beneath a vibrant blue sky. Living Buddha Master Mu-san, a bald old man, sits thoughtfully and asks if the person before him wants to know about Wi Yeonho. The girl confirms her interest, explaining that she is compiling materials to document Wi Yeonho's history. Mu-san names Wi Yeonho as the radiant martial sovereign, declaring him a benevolent and upright man sent by the Buddha. The girl smiles, confirming her prior thoughts, and then asks what Wi Yeonho was like in his everyday life. Mu-san begins to elaborate on Yeonho's daily behavior and usual appearance, but the girl appears to question the statement. Suddenly, Mu-san's face contorts in frustration and exertion, and he states he cannot continue. The girl questions the elder's sudden declaration. We then see the girl lying on the ground near the gateway of the Hubei Peng clan. This unknown person is described as a legendary figure who ended chaos, a true gentleman, a great man, and a renowned chivalrous warrior known across the world. Some recognize him as the greatest of all time and the greatest chivalrous warrior. The girl runs rapidly through the forest, considering why everyone avoids talking about this person. She resolves that her duty as a historian is to document even the hidden sides of history, believing she might finally learn the hidden reason. An elder man, known as the beggar sect divine Mad Dog, laughs and mocks the historian for being chased away from Shaolin and Hubei's Peng clan. The historian laughs back, explaining that the responses are consistently similar whenever she brings up Wi Yeonho's name. The Mad Dog smirks, affirming that such reactions are entirely expected. The historian looks surprised, questioning the Mad Dog's statement. The Mad Dog explains that the Guangdong Wi clan appeared 100 years ago, but the man from that time was the absolute worst kind of person. We shift to a boy lying awake and restless. He feels a tingle and lets out a small sound. This boy, Wi Yeonho at age 12, expresses his desire to become the strongest. The Mad Dog narrates about a boy who dreamed of becoming the greatest under the heavens. Having been born into a martial clan where he learned the chivalry of warriors, his upbringing meant he already knew a certain path. This path led him to aspire to be the greatest, understanding it was the quickest way to reach the top. The Mad Dog emphasizes that this path is one of relentless effort. He stresses that talent means nothing without effort, especially for a boy with such a will. Yeonho affirms that effort is the only true way forward. However, there is one small issue, which is what is about to be revealed. Unfortunately, it is already too late to begin today. A man commands Yeonho to wake up, but Yeonho remains sound asleep and drooling. The man again stands over Yeonho, emphatically commanding him to get up. Yeonho stirs awake, startled by the man standing over him. The man sternly asks Yeonho if he knows the current time. This man is Patriarch Wi Zhonghan, the righteous chivalrous swordsman of Guangdong's Wi clan. Yeonho sits up and states that he has seen the sun. Zhonghan then questions why Yeonho is still in bed. Yeonho explains the sun is going down. Zhonghan asks how long Yeonho has been remaining in this room. Yeonho considers whether it has been 2 or 3 days, concluding it must be 2 days. Zhonghan's face contorts in anger, and he corrects Yeonho, stating that it has actually been 4 days. He scolds Yeonho, emphasizing that he has been lying around in this room for 4 whole days. Zhonghan questions if Yeonho's back hurts from lying around, adding that even a bear would move after 3 days. Yeonho explains that he gets up now and then, so there is no need to worry. He then explains that he had even made an attempt to train. Zhonghan presses him for the specific details. Yeonho explains that the sun is always setting right when he opens his eyes. He further explains that people have to sleep when the sun sets. Yeonho seems pleased with his reasoning, explaining that this plan allows him to get up early the next day for training. Zhonghan shouts in furious rage, calling Yeonho a brat and abruptly cutting him off. He raises the bed as if he is about to strike Yeonho. Zhonghan declares that he will finally fix Yeonho's rotten attitude. Today, at the Great Guangdong's Wi household, Zhonghan vows he will fix Yeonho for good. Loud, chaotic sounds suddenly erupt from within the Great Guangdong's Wi household. The sun is already going down outside. Inside Guangdong's Wi clan office, Zhonghan clutches his head in deep frustration. Administrator Zhou Bang asks if the ongoing concern is still about the second young master. Zhonghan rhetorically confirms that his concern is about only one person. Zhou tells Zhonghan not to worry, assuring him that the young master will mature over time. Zhonghan lets out a deep sigh. Zhonghan, in despair, blames himself for the entire situation, stating that it is all his fault. We see that Wi Yeonho had left on a martial dual pilgrimage the year Wi Yeonho turned 2. Matriarch Han Sang-a of Guangdong's Wi clan stands with Wi Sanho and Wi Yeonho, while pregnant with Wi Suryan. Yeonho had initially believed his martial pilgrimage would only take 2 years at most. However, he was caught up in various incidents along the way. 8 years later, Yeonho finally returns. He walks toward the building where a line of men awaits his arrival. Several men clasp their hands together to welcome Yeonho back. He had earned the honorary title of Righteous Chivalrous Swordsman during his long pilgrimage. Yeonho shows his face, distressed with sweat and wide eyes. It is clear that what he had lost was far too great. When Yeonho returned home, his once gentle wife had become fiercer than a tiger. She displays a confident, fierce smirk, asking him if he is truly back after 8 long years. His beloved son, whom Yeonho thought would not be a problem at all. Yeonho is now a lazy sloth who reclines casually and laughs heartily. Wi Yeonho, sweating and distressed, lets out a weary sigh. Joe smiles and offers words of reassurance, believing a solution can still be found. Yeonho questions Joe about the proposed solution. Joe reminds him that he will be returning soon, making Yeonho ask who he is referring to. Yeonho smiles broadly as Joe confirms that he will finally be back from the academy after 3 years. Yeonho then shows a sinister smirk, speaking downward and referring to Yeonho as a little brat. A person's identity is obscured by shadow, creating an imposing presence. This is the one person Yeonho is actually scared of. Yeonho feels a sudden chill and becomes anxious. He looks up in surprise as he realizes something. Yeonho recognizes his brother, Wi Sanho, the eldest son of Guangdong's Wi clan, who stares upwards with a serious and determined expression. Sanho asks how long Yeonho has been asleep, while Yeonho inwardly thinks about when Sanho arrived. Sanho demands that Yeonho answer his question first. Yeonho hesitates, looking flustered and uncertain as he scratches his head, struggling to respond. Sanho watches him with scrutiny and exasperation. Yeonho frantically defends his actions, claiming he trained hard and only took a nap because he was tired, frustratedly wondering when Sanho actually arrived. Sanho questions if Yeonho actually trained. Yeonho confirms his training, nodding his head. Sanho points upwards at a lit candle, instructing Yeonho, who is kneeling below him, to use a technique to split it in 2. Yeonho reacts with visible surprise and confusion, questioning the instruction. Sanho looks down with an assertive expression, challenging Yeonho to show how much he has improved over the last 3 years. Yeonho stands ready with his drawn sword, holding it with both hands and looking at the lit candle under Sanho's observation, appearing hesitant. Sanho stands with his arms crossed and urges Yeonho to continue and perform the technique. Yeonho looks worried and hesitant towards Sanho, stating his concern that performing the technique indoors could be dangerous. Sanho aggressively yells that he will handle any danger and urges Yeonho to demonstrate his skills immediately. Yeonho reluctantly agrees to the challenge with a slight smile. Yeonho closes his eyes and lets out a breath of preparation as he braces himself. Yeonho swiftly draws his sword, making a sound, ready to begin. He stands ready, his sword fully drawn and held in position. His foot slams down with a loud KONG, bracing against a powerful force. Yeonho executes a powerful aerial sword swing, and the blade slices through the air with a formidable sound. With an intense expression, Yeonho continues his powerful sword arc, creating a swift sound. Yeonho's swift sword attack startles Sanho, whose eyes widen in surprise and alarm. Yeonho lands in a powerful, grounded stance, having just unleashed the devastating soaring dragon technique. He looks down with a pained and regretful expression, a bead of sweat tracing his face, realizing his powerful technique missed its mark completely. A single candle still burns steadily nearby. Yeonho screams out in intense frustration and self-reproach, acknowledging his grave mistake. Sanho calmly announces that 3 years have now passed, stating that 3 years is enough time to master a sword technique and advance in skill. He emphasizes his point by questioning what Yeonho has accomplished. A brief pause hangs in the air before Sanho delivers a critical assessment, stating Yeonho's skills have actually gotten worse than they were 3 years ago. A subtle sound emanates from a decorative vase with foliage as the scene shifts. Outside, the building stands quiet under a serene night sky. Inside, Yeonho, Sanho, Suyeon, and Sang-a gather around a table for a meal. Yeonho looks down with a tired expression, fearing he will get indigestion. While the family eats, Yeonho asks Sanho about life at the martial academy. Sanho responds that it was fine. Yeonho presses him, asking if he encountered any difficulties, but Sanho states that without hardships, it would not be training. He firmly believes that challenges are essential for self-improvement. Yeonho nods in quiet agreement, telling Sanho he had suffered much in his absence. Sanho humbly deflects the concern, stating he had faced greater hardship being away. Yeonho then questions if there are any other outstanding issues. Sanho deliberately places his chopsticks onto a rest, signaling his preparation for a serious statement. His expression hardens with resolve, and he confirms there is one pressing matter left to discuss. Sang-ah asks about the matter, while Jonghan also reacts with curiosity. The serious matter concerning Yeonho is revealed. Jonghan looks on, reinforcing the grave nature of the situation. Sang-ah looks up with a worried expression, questioning the mention of Yeonho. Yeonho frantically asks what they are talking about regarding him. Sanho hesitantly begins to express his thoughts, declaring that they need to bring Yeonho to his martial academy. Yeonho screams in intense protest. A dramatic pause hangs before the word. That's. Mad Dog tells the historian that even Master Mu San and Peng Dojuk became angry at the mere mention of Wi Yeonho's name. At that moment, a sword hilt glows with powerful energy, forming an ethereal dragon. This is where the great history began. Yeonho looks upwards now with a lazy, content expression, a cloudy sky filling the background. Back then, no one could have possibly imagined what was to come next. We see Yeonho and Sanho riding horses together. It is then revealed that this lazy boy would soon be deeply involved. This lazy boy will one day shake the entire world. Yeonho suggests to Sanho that they should rest before continuing their journey, as Yeonho is half-forced to go to a martial academy. Yeonho's family is clearly displeased about his departure. Suryan cries out, reaching to try and stop him from leaving. As Yeonho prepares to go, Jonghan heartily encourages him to return soon, while Sang-ah tells him worriedly to take care of himself. Despite their sorrow, they ultimately do not stop Yeonho from departing. Yeonho and Sanho ride away on horseback. Yeonho promises his family he will return and tells them not to cry. Suryan waves goodbye. Jonghan laughs, but Sang-ah quickly tells him to stop. Yeonho and Sanho then continue their long journey through a lush, green landscape. The journey seems to be continuing smoothly, but soon Yeonho is riding his horse and groaning in discomfort. It turns out the smooth part of the ride was only for Sanho. Yeonho, looking tired and sweaty, asks if they are almost at their destination. Sanho replies simply that they still have 10 more days to go, and Yeonho reacts with immediate dismay. Sanho sternly explains that the journey would have been quicker if they hadn't taken so long. Yeonho argues that he has never ridden a horse before, but Sanho denies that he is placing blame. Sanho clarifies his statement, saying he was only answering a question. Yeonho loudly complains to Sanho about his extreme tiredness from the climb and insists that they need to rest now. Sanho points towards a distant hill with a prominent dead tree and tells Yeonho to look over there. He explains that other people are resting in the distance as well. Sanho's calm observation suddenly shifts to intense surprise and a stern realization, causing him to stop abruptly. He urgently pulls his horse and rushes towards the hill where two motionless people lie under the dead tree. Yeonho immediately asks where Sanho is going. Sanho stands resolutely, looking up with a grim and determined expression as ominous sounds begin to echo. Yeonho looks down and asks Sanho what he is doing. Sanho grimly states that they are too late. He observes the desolate scene, looking down at the multiple lifeless bodies, and confirms that they are all dead. Yeonho reacts in utter disbelief. Sanho tells Yeonho to observe the scene closely. Yeonho peers over his shoulder with concern and swallows. We see the chest of one of the dead men, revealing grotesquely cracked skin and a red flower-like wound. Sanho explains that this gruesome injury is a technique known as the flower-indulging palm. Yeonho questions the unusual name of the technique. Sanho explains that this move was once called the Crimson Flower Palm, but it was renamed the Flower-Indulging Palm because a rapist named Seo Jueke uses it for his evil acts. Yeonho reacts with shock at the mention of a rapist. Yeonho asks Sanho if that rapist is nearby. Sanho explains that this rapist targets women climbing mountains. Sanho states that the bodies here show that Seo Jueke ambushed these people while looking for a woman. Sanho quickly draws a conclusion. A woman must be in immediate danger nearby. Sanho leaves immediately, telling Yeonho to stay right where he is because he will return soon. Yeonho reacts with total surprise and confusion. Yeonho crouches down in frustration, yelling in protest at being abandoned with the corpses. He then recoils violently and shouts in distress. An unseen attacker swiftly moves past Yeonho in the grassy field as someone calls out loudly. Yeonho immediately crouches low, closing his eyes and crying out in distress. Deep fear and confusion show on his face, and he makes a soft sound as sweat drips from his brow. A low rumbling sound emanates from two horses standing beneath the cloudy sky. Yeonho and a tattered, injured man lie on the ground. Realization dawns on Yeonho's face. He understands his dire situation. A rumbling sound echoes powerfully as dark, ominous clouds fill the entire sky. Yeonho thinks about Sanho, wondering why he has not returned yet, feeling frustrated that he was not brought along. Yeonho looks worriedly, thinking something must have happened for Sanho to be so delayed. The dark landscape shows the silhouettes of the horses and Yeonho, and then loud, monstrous roars echo ominously. Sweating with intense worry, Yeonho holds the horse's reins. He realizes he must act now, or risk becoming a tiger's dinner if he stays put. Suddenly, a powerful event flashes with brilliant light all around Yeonho. His eyes go wide as he cries out in shock and fear. After the bright flash fades, rain begins to fall rhythmically on large green leaves, bringing a moment of calm. Heavy rain falls relentlessly on the field, and Yeonho stands nearby, observing the grim and hopeless scene. He looks up with a pained expression and gasps in despair as the relentless rain continues to pour down. Standing in the heavy downpour, Yeonho feels utterly helpless and resigned to his desperate situation. The heavy rain continues to fall beneath the dark clouds, and Yeonho screams out loudly in distress. Rain streaks across Yeonho's face, which shows anguish and frustration as he questions how he ended up in this state. Kneeling in the mud, Yeonho strains with intense effort, desperately urging a horse to move forward. He continues his strenuous effort to move the horse, which whinnies loudly in distress. Exhausted, Yeonho laboriously pulls a horse carrying a deceased body up a steep, rocky incline. He realizes he cannot abandon the bodies now, fearing they might become food for a tiger. The desolate setting remains dark, rainy, and rugged. Yeonho then thinks he cannot bury the bodies because of the rain, letting out a frustrated huff. Yeonho struggles intensely through the pouring rain, gritting his teeth and expressing an urgent need to find something. His face shows continued distress as he desperately calls out for shelter in the heavy rain, letting out a sound of frustration. The wet, distressed horse neighs loudly and rears its head back. Yeonho's face contorts in pain and frustration as he yells out a desperate question. He demands to know if the horse is listening to him, letting out a frustrated groan. The heavy rain continues to fall over the desolate, rocky landscape. Suddenly, a lightning bolt violently strikes Yeonho and the horse. The powerful blast throws them both into the air amidst a destructive flash of light. Yeonho screams in terror and agony as lightning strikes nearby. The horse bucks fiercely from the impact, violently throwing Yeonho off its back. He flails through the air, screaming in pain, accompanied by sounds of tearing and impact. Yeonho plunges headfirst, exclaiming in pain as he falls swiftly through a dense canopy of leaves. He slams violently into the ground or a thick bush, and leaves scatter explosively upwards from the forceful impact. Yeonho lies sprawled on the ground, groaning in discomfort while leaves rustle around him. He sits up near a dark cave entrance, holding his painful back and cursing the horse that threw him. Yeonho looks up with a startled and questioning expression, wondering what is happening as he notices the entrance. He questions if the dark cave can serve as a shelter. With a wide, elated smile, Yeonho joyfully declares that he has found shelter from the rain. Yeonho tightly wraps a thick rope. He glances at the horses, lamenting that he cannot hit them. Still bound and dejected, Yeonho regrets venturing out and wishes he had stayed home. He hangs a cloth from a stick outside the cave entrance, hoping his brother will find him there. Bound and dejected, Yeonho lets out a soft, pained sound. He lies on his side, dirt smudged on his face, screaming in deep despair about something he does not know. Lying on the ground, Yeonho decides he will just sleep. He lies motionless on the cave floor, appearing weary and worrying that something might have happened to his strong brother. Yeonho believes his brother will return and considers his next move. He stays with the horses and then dozes off, quickly falling into a deep and sound sleep. A faint blue glow suddenly begins to emanate from around Yeonho's head. He remains unconscious as his entire body becomes enveloped in an intense, swirling blue energy aura. Still deep in sleep, Yeonho levitates above the ground, completely engulfed in energy. He floats in midair, then propels forward with immense speed, leaving a vivid trail in his wake. Yeonho then hovers serenely just above the ground, still sleeping soundly as the energy around him stabilizes. Yeonho wakes up with a confused sound and looks up at the cavern ceiling, which is now filled with swirling energy, making a soft sound. He wonders where he is, noticing the ceiling looks different, but then recognizes it as his cave. He wonders if he somehow moved deeper inside. Suddenly, a voice speaks of a faded human, causing Yeonho to cry out in shock. He throws himself back with a loud crash, confused, wondering what has happened. A glowing spirit orb radiates intensely, announcing a welcome to the fated place with bright flashes. The spirit orb pulses with energy and names a successor to its radiant sword. Baffled and overwhelmed, Yeonho asks if the sparkling entity is talking to him. The spirit orb, prominently displayed, confirms it has transcended its physical body. It states that it is speaking from beyond both time and space. The spirit orb then urges Yeonho to accept its will and rule the world. Yeonho screams in terror, disbelievingly calling the spirit orb a ghost. The spirit orb tells Yeonho not to be afraid because it is already dead, explaining that only its will remains here now. The orb continues to pulse, illuminating the dark surroundings. It announces that it has prepared something for someone who will arrive later, urging Yeonho to accept its will without any doubt. Agitated and sweating profusely, Yeonho tries to stop the spirit orb. He clenches his hand and questions the orb with a confused sound. Yeonho contemplates deeply, realizing the entire situation seems familiar. He thinks about the cave, noting its complete lack of any human presence. As the spirit orb holds its prominent position, Yeonho wonders if this is the will of an old man, and he expresses further confusion about the situation. Yeonho looks up with wide, blank eyes, suddenly realizing something crucial. His face fills with pure joy and excitement. He realizes this is a fateful chance. Yeonho believes the heavens are finally rewarding his kindness, realizing he can become strong without the help of a martial training hall. Yeonho stands ready, eagerly accepting the spirit orb's instruction to inherit its sword and fix the world's morals. The entity promises to teach him its radiant sword, urging endless training, and Yeonho immediately agrees. The spirit orb pulsates with energy, stating that Yeonho possesses enough talent because of its blood. The spirit orb then reveals that Yeonho will need 30 years of training to replicate its techniques. A bead of sweat appears on Yeonho's face as he reacts with confused surprise. Grimacing and shocked, Yeonho questions the monumental 30-year training period. Still troubled, Yeonho raises a hand to interrupt the spirit orb as it confirms the time frame. The entity then questions his hesitation. Yeonho smiles cheerfully but rejects the commitment, suggesting the spirit orb find someone else entirely. A silent moment hangs in the air following Yeonho's refusal. The spirit orb cries out in surprise. Yeonho laughs, declaring he would rather abandon this offer entirely than train for 3 decades. Mad Dog speaks intensely of that fateful meeting, pointing with a serious expression. The focus then shifts to the supposed loser, Wi Yeonho. A hand grips the hilt of a sword. A powerful eruption shatters many surrounding sword blades, clearly demonstrating just how strong Yeonho has become. With a focused and intense expression, Yeonho powerfully brandishes his sword, shattering the weapons held by multiple surrounding assailants. Yeonho smiles confidently, shimmering with energy, and rejects the spirit orb's offer. He tells the orb this is not his fate, and it should find someone else. He declares his departure. Yeonho swiftly dashes away. He turns back in surprise when Baek Muhan, shouts for him to wait. Yeonho stares forward, dazed and speechless by Muhan's sudden presence. Yeonho yells, accusing Muhan and declaring he was right about him being a scammer. Muhan shows an expression of surprise and disbelief as Yeonho points accusingly at him. Muhan demands to know how he dares call him a scammer. Yeonho claims Muhan pretended to be one thing, only to reveal his true self. Muhan calmly refutes the accusation, stating he was not pretending at all. He explains that he is a spirit separated from his body. Yeonho listens deep in thought, processing this new information, and questions in surprise if Muhan is truly a spirit separated from his body. Suddenly, Yeonho yells and delivers a punch that connects with Muhan. Muhan demands to know what Yeonho is doing. Yeonho screams in terror, sweating profusely, asking if Muhan is a real ghost, before shouting in desperate denial. Muhan reacts strongly to being called a ghost. Muhan explains that this is spirit transmission arts, a high-level technique that people like Yeonho often mistakenly refer to as ghosts. Muhan shouts with an intense expression that he is not a ghost. The scene changes under a starry night sky where Mad Dog and the historian sit near a campfire. Mad Dog explains that this is how Wi Yeonho met his master. As they sit around the small campfire, the historian looks at Mad Dog and asks if transmission arts truly exist. Mad Dog emphasizes that only the highest-level martial artists can attain such a technique. The historian asks who could possibly use such an advanced ability. Mad Dog asks if the historian knows the Sword Emperor, declaring Muhan undeniably the strongest person in history. The historian contemplates whether the Sword Emperor was truly the greatest master of the Thousand Swords Baek clan and is remembered in martial arts history. Mad Dog confirms he is speaking of Baek Muhan, the Radiant Sword. Mad Dog states the Sword Emperor was actually the Radiant's martial sovereign's master. The historian reacts with wide-eyed disbelief, questioning if that is truly the case, and asks if he did not live 300 years ago. Mad Dog confirms the Sword Emperor is from a forgotten generation, but adds that he is still the one who made Wi Yeonho. The historian expresses amazement and asks Mad Dog if the Radiant martial sovereign immediately became his disciple. Mad Dog repeats Wi Yeonho's name, then smiles and corrects the historian, saying it was actually the opposite. The Sword Emperor, Muhan, realized none of his descendants had looked for him for 300 years. Muhan screams with intense emotion, demanding that Yeonho become his disciple. Yeonho walks away, looking irritated, and asks why Muhan is throwing such a tantrum. He is not even from the Baek clan. Yeonho continues to walk away, stating he cannot learn from Muhan, and is leaving. Muhan is angered and asks if Yeonho thinks he will be let go easily. Power strikes the ground right in front of Yeonho. Debris and dust erupt as the force visibly cracks the earth. Yeonho looks up, confused and taken aback by the sudden powerful strike. A chuckle is then heard. Muhan maniacally laughs and asks Yeonho what he thinks of the super thick stone gate he has just created. Muhan tells Yeonho he cannot overcome this obstacle with his current skills, but offers him a path to power. Yeonho stands deep in thought, then looks down with resignation, stating there is no avoiding the situation now. Muhan looks pleased and continues to tell Yeonho that his martial arts would let him cut through the obstacle easily. Yeonho begins drawing a weapon from his side. Yeonho focuses intensely, gritting his teeth as he tries to cut the stone gate with his weapon. Muhan yells a warning that Yeonho cannot cut the stone gate with his current abilities. Yeonho continues to strain, making a harsh grinding sound as he tries to break the obstacle. He continues his efforts, producing another loud grinding sound. Yeonho collapses to the ground, gasping after his intense efforts to break the obstacle. Muhan stands in the distance, observing him. Muhan looks down at Yeonho on the ground, questioning the outcome of his efforts. Muhan questions Yeonho about what exactly he is doing. Yeonho digs into the ground with his sword, stating he is digging a hole. Yeonho explains that even strong stone will slowly break down if it is ground with metal. With a determined face, Yeonho shows he expects to break through the obstacle in about 1 or 2 years. Muhan stares in astonishment, questioning if Yeonho actually plans to dig for a year or 2. Yeonho continues making grinding sounds and digging with his sword. He sarcastically reminds Muhan about his past offer to train him for 30 years. Muhan turns away in frustration. Muhan is frustrated, thinking Yeonho is a madman he cannot even stop. Muhan urges Yeonho to learn from him, promising not to disappoint him. Yeonho rejects him, stating simply that he does not like him. Muhan offers to let Yeonho leave after 20 years, and Yeonho questions the length of time in disbelief. Yeonho rejects the lengthy offer, stating it is too long. Yeonho proposes he will consider staying only if the offer is for 3 years. Muhan looks intensely serious, questioning Yeonho's ambition to learn his martial arts in only 3 years and expressing strong disbelief. Muhan continues his profound disbelief, stating that even the legendary Zhang Sanfeng could not achieve such a feat. Yeonho reacts with a sudden jolt, then accepts that their arrangement is not meant to be. Muhan's face contorts in extreme anger and distress as he erupts in frustration. Muhan then makes a new offer, proposing a 5-year training period. Yeonho appears determined as he holds his sword hilt. Muhan forcefully reiterates his demand, adopting a stern and resolved expression with a resonating sound. He makes a resolute vow, committing to make Yeonho the strongest in the world in just 5 years. Yeonho deeply contemplates the possibility of becoming the world's strongest martial artist in 5 years. Muhan looks down, seriously contemplating the young man's spirit, thinking he has never encountered a spirit this vivid before. Yeonho considers that this might be a hidden technique and a genuine opportunity. He decides to seize this chance to become a master, believing 5 years is a small price to pay. A sword plunges into the ground, causing an impact. Yeonho points forward and declares that he will try the challenge. Meanwhile, Mad Dog and Historian sit contemplatively by a small campfire under the night sky. Mad Dog states that Yeonho did not know Muhan was the Sword Emperor at that time, and the Sword Emperor was quite unfortunate to meet him at the end of his life. Yeonho sleeps soundly, his mouth slightly agape and drooling. Muhan, his expression furious, desperately screams for Yeonho to wake up. Yeonho barely stirs, questioning what is happening. Yeonho is now awake, looking tired and slightly annoyed, with subtle drool still visible. Sitting up, the exhausted Yeonho complains to Muhan about his need for sleep. He then realizes Muhan is dead, prompting Muhan to insist that humans actually require sleep. Muhan reluctantly agrees to train, apologizing to Yeonho, and curses the skies. Yeonho yawns broadly, expressing surprise that he has to train immediately upon waking. Muhan realizes the disciple he finally received is proving to be lazy. Muhan screams in frustration that their training will now take 50 years. Yeonho asks if there is an easier way to learn, but Muhan insists that it is easy enough already. Yeonho internally thinks he needs a more talented master, suggesting that Muhan's silence would make him less annoying. Yeonho's internal thoughts cause Muhan to nearly collapse in extreme anguish, his hand reddening. Muhan offers a small, sarcastic apology. The spirit clenches his jaw, looking up in immense suffering and despair. He regrets enduring his terrible spiritual state, just to pass down his martial arts to a lazy disciple. Muhan then floats serenely, wishing he had a physical body so he could discipline his disciple before teaching him anything. He sighs in exasperation. Yeonho rolls happily on the ground, clearly amused. He lies on the ground, looking up, and addresses Muhan. Yeonho questions Muhan about how he performed an action, and Muhan asks what he means. Yeonho clarifies that his question is about dropping the stone gate. He gestures with his hand and suggests that Muhan should use his power to manipulate Yeonho's body to teach him martial arts. Muhan calmly explains that he had simply pulled a string on a device he made in advance. Still on the ground, Yeonho asks Muhan how he can pull a string when he doesn't have a body. Muhan replies that his body is completely unrelated to the action. Seen from behind, Muhan explains he simply used psychic levitation, using only his chi to pull the string. Suddenly, Muhan's face appears in an extreme close-up, his eyes wide with shock. He realizes he should have understood this realization much earlier. Muhan begins to radiate a powerful aura, looming menacingly over Yeonho with a sinister grin. Yeonho reacts with alarm, demanding to know if the elder has completely gone crazy. Muhan continues to grin wildly, realizing his previous mistake about lacking a body and wondering if his spirit was incomplete. He then expresses gratitude for this new understanding as power surges powerfully around him. Yeonho reacts by questioning Muhan's strange words. His face looks dazed and distressed as he questions what exactly is happening right now. He looks in shock at a glowing, cracked orb embedded in the cave wall, which emits smoke. Yeonho is extremely surprised by what he sees. Muhan, radiating power, now holds a glowing orb and states that he finally understands he can move rocks even without a body. Yeonho looks surprised and apprehensive, questioning Muhan as the elder glows intensely. Muhan continues speaking about his ability to move rocks. He raises his hands, manifesting multiple glowing orbs that orbit him as he triumphantly shouts about his newfound abilities. Yeonho sweats profusely and desperately screams for Muhan to stop. He calls out to Muhan, urgently proposing that they talk instead. Intense energy then envelopes Yeonho, making him scream. He grimaces, clearly in pain from the immense exertion. Following these intense events, Baek Muhan and Wi Yeonho's training continues relentlessly, day and night. Yeonho learns swordsmanship without rest throughout the day. He swings his sword vigorously while airborne, creating powerful slashes that shatter the surrounding debris. Yeonho continues his intense swordsmanship, breaking even more debris with his blade. At night, he and Muhan engage in intense debates. Whenever he sleeps, Yeonho trains in dreams using Muhan's mythic arts, assertively pointing at the angry Muhan with a stressed and sweaty face. Yeonho lunges aggressively with his sword, creating powerful slashes as Muhan attacks him with intense focus and radiating power. Yeonho grits his teeth, letting out sounds of intense struggle and pain. He tilts his head back, sweat clearly visible on his face from the great effort. This relentless training makes his very life the sword. Muhan generates powerful energy, forming two spherical objects from his hands as his eyes glow brightly. Forceful projectiles fly rapidly across the scene, moving from right to left. Yeonho braces his feet, driving his sword deep into a massive rock. His relentless training has completely transformed his life into the sword itself. Wi Yeonho's rigorous training continues without pause. He has absolutely no time to be lazy. Muhan looks satisfied, letting out a soft sound as powerful energy radiates around him. 5 years then pass by quickly, and then he returns. Yeonho walks out of a dark passage and steps into a brilliant light. He lets out a sinister laugh as he emerges. The heavy stone slab rumbles open, and dust and smoke fill the air around him. Yeonho looks up with a slight grimace, deeply inhaling the air as if savoring his freedom. He smiles menacingly, bringing a finger to his lips as he declares his freedom, promising he will shake the world. This moment, however, takes place 1 day ago. Yeonho is lying asleep when Muhan calls out his name. Yeonho stirs slightly on the ground, wanting to sleep more. Muhan calls his name once more. Yeonho begrudgingly sits up and states that he wants to sleep just a bit more, asking if Muhan does not believe him. Suddenly, Yeonho reacts with wide-eyed surprise and confusion, sweat drops forming as he makes a startled sound. Muhan simply commands him to come closer. Muhan is revealed, sitting in a composed meditative posture and exuding a powerful spiritual energy. Yeonho sits down on the ground, looking at Muhan and confusedly asking what is happening. Muhan states that he has learned martial arts for his entire life. He explains that his hope was always to completely master his discipline, reflecting that he only ever focused on martial arts. This singular pursuit, he explains, made him a difficult old man, treated distantly by his own clan. Yeonho internally wonders why Muhan is acting so unlike himself today. Muhan realizes why his clan has never come looking for him. 5 figures, representing his abandoned clan, stand in a rigid line behind him. Muhan continues his thoughts, understanding now that he abandoned his children and family for martial arts. He had once believed that achieving the ultimate martial arts would give him everything he needed, but Muhan then confesses that he was wrong. His pained face and outstretched hand show his deep regret as Muhan realizes that martial arts are simply what humans do. Muhan looks contemplatively to the side as he reflects on teaching someone for the very first time. His face contorts in anger as he expresses his past frustration and annoyance. Muhan reflects that he found happiness and learned joy simply from watching Yeonho grow, and states that he also learned about fondness. Yeonho questions Muhan's unusual demeanor, sensing a final farewell is coming. Muhan smiles serenely and confirms that it is time, which leaves Yeonho confused. Yeonho reacts with profound shock and alarm, questioning Muhan's declaration and stating he will not be deceived. He screams in frustration and disbelief, stating that only 5 years have passed when he was promised 30 years of training. Yeonho demands Muhan remain for another 25 years. Muhan simply confirms that he had indeed made that statement. Yeonho questions the meaning behind Muhan's simple affirmation. Muhan then offers Yeonho a glowing orb and tells him to eat it, explaining that this elixir of internal chi was provided so he could live without eating, while Yeonho looks up with a resigned expression. Muhan reveals that maintaining such power was not as easy as it seemed, and explains that he has no power remaining. Muhan says that it is time for them to part ways. Yeonho immediately screams in despair and accusation, asking why he hadn't been told this was coming. Still agitated, Yeonho insists that he would have simply left to find food, and then quickly returned for training if he had known. Muhan, sweat visible on his brow, offers a gentle and understanding smile. He tells Yeonho that he completely comprehended his feelings, and knew that if Yeonho had left, he definitely would have returned. Yeonho watches intently as Muhan, now glowing, continues to speak to him. Muhan states that he truly enjoyed the time they spent together. He expresses that he had wanted to see Yeonho travel the world, but accepts their current circumstances, assuring him that he can already clearly see Yeonho traveling the world now. Muhan instructs Yeonho to go see the world for himself. He explains that if Yeonho keeps his inner strength, other things will naturally follow suit. Muhan advises Yeonho to see people before he sees the world, regretfully sharing that he had made past mistakes. Yeonho listens pensively as his master warns him not to repeat those same mistakes. Muhan states that it is fine, even if they cannot see each other again, and adds that it is also fine even if no one knows that he exists at all. Muhan's glowing hand manipulates streams of energy as he considers the significance of Yeonho's past movements. He then focuses deeply on swordsmanship, forming a solid blade purely out of energy. Yeonho looks up with intense emotion and determination as a surge of energy emanates right from his chest. A massive energy surge then erupts all around them, revealing that Muhan's very presence is now within those energies. Muhan's hand glows as he explains that it is fine, even if one is not outstanding or great. A strained sound escapes someone. Yeonho immediately reaches out, pleading with his master not to leave yet. He insists he still has so much to learn, but quickly declares that it is fine if he does not learn it. He desperately pleads for his master to stay just one more day. Yeonho reaches his bandaged hand upwards towards the shimmering energy, longing for a simple moment of happiness. Yeonho is now walking alone through a vast, dark cavern, deep in thought. He journeys through the desolate, misty environment, continuing his solitary walk while addressing his master. His face shows profound sorrow and tears. He expresses his agony, wishing his master had told him about this much earlier. Yeonho grimaces with frustration, as he now finally understands his master's reason for leaving without any prior notice. He then grins unsettlingly at a large green bundle lying nearby. Yeonho wonders when his master had stacked it all up, and quietly wishes that Muhan had left more gracefully. Yeonho, appearing small in the vast landscape, flails his arms wildly. He screams in exasperation, demanding to know what this new burden could possibly be. Before Muhan disappeared entirely, he had taken the time to write a message on Wi Yeonho's clothes. Wi Yeonho's martial arts training, though fast-paced for 5 years, remains tragically incomplete. To ensure his students' training, Muhan implemented a special feature onto Yeonho's body. Muhan's inner elixir, which Yeonho has swallowed, will now cause his martial arts to automatically improve. This was not merely an automatic strengthening. A crucial condition is in place. If Yeonho's martial arts progress is slower than the inner elixir's speed, the system becomes deadly. Yeonho's chart shows the inner elixir bar is significantly higher than his body bar, and Muhan would forcefully drain Yeonho's inner energy, which would cause his death. His inner energy is forcibly drained, and Yeonho clutches his clothes in angry frustration. He concludes that being lazy in training means his death, and curses the old man's manipulative plot. The narration then advises him to travel the world and see different things. Traveling would allow him to feel new emotions, which will lead to learning valuable lessons. The council warns him not to be a small person staying in a small place, urging him instead to see big things and become a big person. Yeonho grimaces, expressing intense annoyance towards his master as the plot moves forward. Yeonho then receives instructions to go to Rulin. He is told to find the world's greatest scholar and stay with him. Yeonho reacts with wide-eyed surprise and utter confusion, questioning this unexpected new directive. Muhan states that Yeonho would definitely feel something after Rulin. Yeonho yells in frustration, demanding to know how many places his master is telling him to visit. He reflects that he had planned to go home and confirms that his brother is safe. Yeonho declares he will return home after resolving everything, telling his parents not to worry. Yeonho walks thoughtfully into the lush forest, resolving to do what he must. A colossal, dark, amorphous entity violently erupts from the earth, radiating raw power and menace. The entity firmly states that it will not be back and expresses annoyance at being bothered until the very end. Yeonho walks on a winding path, asking where Rulin is located. Muhan closes his eyes and then laughs maniacally, his mouth opening wide. He continues to laugh loudly, aggressively stating that not learning about the world would cause Yeonho to dry up and die. Muhan clenches his fist, laughing intensely as he challenges the idea of such isolated martial arts existing in the world. With a determined look, Muhan declares he cannot let Yeonho live in an isolated place, stating the world is far too broad. He emphatically says that staying isolated would be a complete waste of Yeonho's martial arts. Muhan conveys that he is happy because of Yeonho, and Muhan's final message appears, telling Yeonho to be happy. A strong, unseen force violently sweeps and scatters green leaves everywhere. Yeonho questions what is happening. As the leaves fly through the air, Yeonho looks up and muses about the scent of grass. A single green leaf continues its descent against the bright, cloudy sky. Time then passes. A large city stands on islands and waterways. The city shown is Kaifeng. Yeonho, now appearing gaunt and confused, asks if this truly is Kaifeng. The man identifies himself as Wi Yeonho. Yeonho approaches a man named Jang Il, who is sitting on a fallen log in a desolate landscape. Jang Il, the beggar sect branch leader, looks intently at Yeonho with a suspicious and annoyed expression. He wonders who this strange man is before hesitantly replying. Yeonho explains that he came to ask Jang Il something. Jang Il immediately questions if Yeonho is asking for money. Yeonho looks surprised by the suggestion of payment, but Jang Il declares that nothing in the world is truly free. Jang Il narrows his eyes in thought, noting that Yeonho's voice sounds like he is barely 20. He muses that despite the youthful voice, Yeonho's face looks 50. making him an incredibly unusual beggar, almost like a ghost. Jang Il gestures, explaining that local rules prevent him from helping for free, even though they are both beggars. Yeonho questions their shared status, but Jang Il confirms they are indeed both beggars. Yeonho immediately denies the accusation of being a beggar. Jang Il decisively points at Yeonho, declaring that he is clearly a beggar. He tells Yeonho to leave and return with money after begging. Yeonho asks why he would beg when he is not a beggar, but Jang Il confidently explains that the very act of begging defines a beggar. He points out that Yeonho is wasting his talents when he could easily make money by begging. Jang Il then pauses, looking down in contemplative silence with his open hand visible. Suddenly, Jang Il quickly turns and urgently asks Yeonho if they want to work together. He grabs Yeonho's hand, leaving Yeonho looking surprised. Yeonho asks what exactly they would work together with, and moments later, a weary Yeonho is overwhelmed by a vast pile of coins. Yeonho is now sitting in a dimly lit room with Jang Il. Jang Il cackles, scattering copper coins around, thrilled that they earned half a year of operating costs for his branch in just half a day. The immense earnings quickly cause a commotion outside. The two stand outside questioning what is happening, hearing people declare that the god of wealth has come, though others also speak of a pathetic beggar. Jang Il asks Yeonho what he wants to know. Yeonho states that he needs details like the locations, hobbies, and specialties of famous scholars. Yeonho continues, adding that she also needs a list of the locations, hobbies, and specialties of famous blacksmiths. Jang Il asks if she means all those extensive lists. Jang Il promises to provide the requested information and tells Yeonho to return in 7 days. However, Jang Il mentally notes that he did not tell the man to lie down. Yeonho lies sprawled on the floor, stating she has nowhere to go and intends to remain right there. She stays sprawled on the floor, saying she has nothing to do and will remain there. Jang Il questions if he will really stay there, then reluctantly agrees, telling Yeonho he can remain. A few days later, a man rushes frantically toward Jang Il, reporting trouble. Jang Il questions what fuss and trouble beggars could possibly have, words he will soon regret. Jang Il looks up with a distressed and worried expression. The man fears they might starve to death and questions the desperate situation. Suddenly, a man aggressively points and yells at some beggars, accusing them of being fake and ordering them away. The man urgently leads Jang Il, pointing ahead and urging him to hurry in that direction. Jang Il's face twists in shock and confusion as he questions what is happening. Goatee Man, sporting a smug smile, looks down and tells the unseen beggars they must at least meet certain expectations. He gestures dismissively, telling them to be on a certain level. He thinks to himself that he has never seen anyone so poor. Coins then rain around Yeonho, and Goatee Man declares the situation is pitiful. As the coins lie scattered, Goatee Man tells him to eat. This man is Wi Yeonho. Yeonho simply states that making money is easy. Wi Yeonho has completely taken over the beggar world. Now, Yeonho states that he is thirsty. An angry Jang Il shouts at Red Sash Man to immediately bring water. Yeonho inspects the water bowl with displeasure, declaring that it is dirty. Jang Il demands fresh water in a new bowl as another subordinate is violently struck nearby. Yeonho then complains that the water is also lukewarm, and Jang Il immediately demands cold water sourced from the mountains. Red Sash Man looks distressed while Top Knot Man and Light Tunic Man scramble to meet the demands, all while Yeonho remains relaxed on the ground holding a small cup. Jang Il demands to know how many times he has to repeat his orders. Top Knot Man and Bandaged Man frantically run around in the background. Yeonho finally appears content and relaxed, commenting on how nice the water is. Jang Il clenches his fist in pure frustration. He clenches his jaw, looking down with a heavy, burdened expression as he contemplates his identity as a branch leader of the beggar sect. Jang Il clenches his fists again, expressing his immense frustration about being forced to act as a servant. He realizes that if he kicks Yeonho out, his people will starve, while Yeonho casually continues to lay on the ground. Jang Il worries about the requested information, complaining of pain and fearing they will all die. Just then, someone calls out to the branch leader. A red headband man rushes forward with a scroll, announcing that the information has finally arrived. Jang Il's face instantly shows immense relief and joy. Yeonho exhales deeply, his eyes closed in profound relief while he lies there on the floor. Yeonho then asks if this is all of the information. Jang Il replies in confusion. Yeonho presses him, asking if he truly intends to sell something like this for money. Jang Il, still confused, questions what he means by that. Jang Il reaches for the crumpled paper on the floor and demands to be given it. He silently examines the paper with a serious and thoughtful expression. Jang Il suddenly realizes the severity of the situation, wondering if someone is trying to kill them all. He sees that the paper contains only half of the requested information. Jang realizes the situation is bad, and he knows he needs to act quickly. Yeonho, now sitting up, asks if his payment is the core problem. Jang Il urgently calls for him to wait. Jang Il then forcefully pulls Yeonho by the arm on a busy street, telling him he cannot beg there and must come with him immediately. Jang quickly offers some information. Jang Il looks up as Nang Nang descends. Nang Nang shows amusement, remarking that it is a rare sight to see Jang Il here. Nang Nang holds a calm yet piercing gaze, emphasizing her authority. She stands confidently, identified as Gue Nang Nang, the House Sect Kaifeng branch leader. Jang Il bows respectfully and offers his greetings to branch leader Gue. Yeonho thinks of the fox dog before leaning in closer to aggressively demean Jang Il, asking if his title is indeed dog. Jang Il internally curses Yeonho. Jang demands information, but Yeonho simply keeps insulting him. Jang Il continues to demand the information, while Yeonho calls him a bitch. Nang Nang questions why the beggar sect's Kaifeng branch leader is now coming to the house sect for information. She states they are rivals and questions Jang Il's true purpose for coming here. Jang Il clarifies that he is not there for the beggar sect and has instead brought a customer. Yeonho repeatedly utters insults nearby. Nang Nang shows disbelief, and her expression hardens at Jang Il's revelation. Nang Nang internally thinks that the beggar sect is not the one making the request. She interrupts, questioning if the client is, in fact, a beggar. Nang Nang's expression becomes stern as she asks if Jang Il is insulting or provoking the house sect. She then declares that they have no information to sell to the beggar sect. Yeonho pokes Jang Il's cheek and states that he is not from the beggar sect. Jang Il reacts with an annoyed expression, telling Yeonho sharply to stop. Nang Nang warns that she will take action if the insults continue, reminding them of the house sect's pride. Yeonho then pointedly asks if the house sect is truly an intelligence organization. Yeonho questions the house sect's intelligence capabilities, pointing out they lack basic information. Nang Nang's face shows the impact of Yeonho's cutting words. Nang Nang calls out for Gongmu. A voice respectfully addresses her. Nang Nang immediately asks who Yeonho is. An unknown voice, which sounds ornate, responds to Nang Nang's question, explaining they do not know about the man but confirming he is not from the beggar sect. Nang Nang shows her frustration with this incomplete information. Yeonho, looking confident and smug, rhetorically asks Nang Nang if they now understand. He confidently presents his open hands, asking if she is now ready to sell information to him. Nang Nang defiantly refuses the offer. Her face contorts in fury as she aggressively rejects the proposition and demands they get out. Jang Il and Yeonho react with shock. Nang Nang smirks confidently, letting out a defiant sound. Looking displeased, Yeonho questions the lack of business acumen for refusing his offer of payment. Yeonho then states that the house sect will not last much longer. Nang Nang threatens to cut off his limbs, but Yeonho calmly insists he is not wrong. Yeonho provokes Nang Nang, calling her an old lady. Nang Nang's face instantly contorts in furious rage. She angrily repeats the insult, questioning if he is trying to provoke them. Yeonho then feigns ignorance. Nang Nang says the word Gongmu, and someone immediately addresses her as ma'am. Nang Nang commands Gongmu to teach him a lesson, extending her arm forward. Gongmu emphatically confirms Nang Nang's command. Following her command, Nang Nang observes powerful attacks erupting from the ground in front of her. As the powerful attacks erupt, a Gongmu cloaked in black lunges forward aggressively. The Gongmu delivers a lightning-fast punch as Jang Il cries out in alarm and Yeonho watches. Jang Il recoils in shock as Yeonho subtly shifts position with a sliding sound, bracing for the imminent attack. Yeonho tells Jang Il to move. Yeonho looks up, preparing for impact. He intervenes, releasing a powerful force from his hand to block Gongmu's strike. Yeonho's powerful force collides with Gongmu's attack, resulting in a strong repulsion. Following the strong repulsion, Nang Nang watches with wide, intense eyes. Jang Il grimaces intensely with wide eyes and sweat on his face from profound shock. Yeonho exhales, releasing a momentary tension, and stands showing residual energy around his fists. Yeonho then stands apologetically as Jang Il and Nang Nang stare in disbelief, realizing he is a martial master. The defeated Gongmu now lies in a crater on the floor, while Nang Nang observes the commotion. Yeonho stands awkwardly, scratching his head, explaining that he instinctively counterattacked when someone tried to hit him. He adds that he would have gone much easier if he had known an attack was coming. Yeonho declares that it was all Muhan's fault. Nang Nang admits that she had not known the customer was so prestigious. Nang Nang, still clutching the intricate object, speaks with agitation. She demands to know what is being discussed, insisting the conversation has been with her this entire time. Her eyes narrow intensely as she declares that no matter what happens, they will proceed with their plans. Nang Nang then implies that Jang Il is not here with good intentions. Jang Il looks flustered and shocked, immediately denying her accusation. He explains that he is not here to fight at all. He continues, clarifying that he sought their help because the beggar sect has been unable to obtain the necessary information themselves. Nang Nang questions Jang Il about bringing Yeonho, comparing the situation to bringing a tiger into a rabbit's den. She assures them she is serious about the danger. Despite this, Nang Nang states she will believe Jang Il's words for now. Jang Il looks deeply grateful, expresses his thanks, and bows respectfully. Nang Nang then turns serious, stating that providing information is a completely separate matter. She confirms that Jang Il's client has, in fact, harmed her. Nang Nang declares they will need something in return, emphasizing the strong need for compensation. Yeonho looks up in surprise and concern, immediately questioning this talk of compensation. Nang Nang states that there is a strict rule in the unorthodox world. It is blood for blood, and a life for a life. Suddenly, shadows appear. Yeonho notes how everyone seems to make such a dramatic entrance. Nang confronts Yeonho directly, stating that since one of her people was hurt, Yeonho will not be able to leave without suffering harm himself. Jang Il gently tries to calm Yeonho, who insists his actions were merely a mistake because he was hit first. Nang glares forward with intense eyes, internally seething about Yeonho's attitude. She declares the ways of the unorthodox Murim are simple, stating their brutal philosophy is to take an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Yeonho scoffs, stating that this sounds exactly like loan shark bullshit. Jang Il quickly tells Yeonho to stop talking. Ignoring them, Nang declares they will take a small bit of flesh right from Yeonho's face. Yeonho raises a hand, preparing to respond to the group's threats. Yeonho stretches his cheek, explaining that he has no fat on his face because he has not been able to eat properly recently. Nang grits her teeth, her eyes glowing with intense emotion. Consumed by fury, Nang commands that Yeonho be killed immediately. The four shadows lunge forward instantly. Yeonho questions why the attack is so intense, thinking it was only supposed to be a small cut on his face. He asks if she is trying to kill him now. Yeonho, his hair disheveled, is forced into a red impact zone as the purple tunic man controls the battle from below. Nang watches, reacting to the violent events she has just witnessed. Yeonho unleashes a devastating attack, flinging multiple enemies away from him immediately. He commands them not to move. His attack leaves multiple enemies defeated and scattered across the ground, with a sword nearby showing the incredible force of the impact. He remarks that he did not actually want to kill anyone yet. Yeonho stands composedly, warning everyone not to make him move, as the four individuals are sent flying through the air. Yeonho begins to voice his true feelings. With the ground cracked from his action, he finishes his statement, revealing that he dislikes killing. Jang Il looks on, clearly shocked by the immense display of power. Gue also watches with shock and fear, wondering exactly what kind of energy this is. Yeonho then brings up Muhan's profound statement about a teaching to attack multiple times to ensure no regrets. He states that he does not like Muhan, but Yeonho admits there was nothing wrong with what he said. Gue quickly realizes she chose the wrong person to confront, and understands he was not someone she could mess with. She gathers her resolve, thinking she needs to pull himself together, and believes any wrong move would lead to trouble. Gue states that the entire Kaifeng Hall Hao clan could disappear today. Gue looks forward and demands to know what Yeonho wants. Yeonho replies that he wants information, so Gue asks what kind of information he seeks. Jang Il presents a document to Gue, informing him that he has the document, and requests that the document be completed. Gue looks puzzled by the document as she holds it, looking down at the paper. Then, she angrily asks why a powerful monster was brought to the Hao clan. Gue explains that the information is not difficult to get, but she needs time to gather it, and asks if they can wait. As Jang and Yeonho stand, Yeonho agrees to wait for the information. Gue then requests just 1 day to gather it. Gue's head glows faintly as she is brought up as the branch leader of Kaifeng. Gue asks them to follow her for a moment, and Jang reacts with a startled expression. Yeonho lets out a scoffing sound of amusement, continuing his amusement by bursting into laughter while pointing forward and holding his stomach. Jang, who is bruised, tells Yeonho to shut up after Yeonho taunts him about his appearance, asking if his face looks like a steamed bun and if he got hit. Yeonho questions why he was beaten by the Hao clan despite not being from the beggar sect. Jang reacts in distress, stating that Gue is the Hao clan leader's daughter and next in line. He wonders how he could ever handle someone of her formidable status. Jang clenches his fists in frustration, looking toward Yeonho. Gue stands nearby, holding a document, and says she has his requested information. Yeonho thanks her as Jang watches in surprise. Gue, Jang, and Yeonho sit at a table. Gue then states they have a condition too, which surprises Yeonho, who asks what it is. Jang explains the condition is an information fee. Yeonho questions the amount. Gue states the information fee is 5 niang. Yeonho then offers payment, stating the amount is not much. Jang clarifies the fee is 5 niang silver. Yeonho reacts with disbelief, questioning how the information fee could be that expensive. Gue explains the high fee is due to confidential information. Yeonho then accepts the price, saying it could not be helped. Yeonho rises from his seat and walks away. Jang asks Yeonho where he thinks he is going. Yeonho simply replies by asking where else he could go, all while Gue watches them. Yeonho then announces he is leaving right now to make money because he is currently broke. Suddenly, Jang quickly wraps his leg around Yeonho, holding him back. Jang tells Yeonho to wait, and asks if he even knows why he was brought here in the first place. Yeonho demands to know what the reason is, and what exactly Jang wants him to do. Jang can only tell him to just wait. Jang struggles internally as he tries to overcome his rising frustration. We learn that they have gathered 5 silver niangs, which is all of why Yeonho's earned money, his hidden fund, and an agreement to cover any remaining costs. Jang closes his eyes in sorrow, declaring that his heart aches from the pain. Yeonho looks at him and asks if he is crying. Yeonho stands nearby holding the documents. Jang angrily asks if this small amount is truly all they could gather, even after he emptied his own secret stash for this. Yeonho praises the high quality of their information and asks about the cost of sending a letter to Guangdong. Gue explains that delivery costs for this are more expensive than standard rates. However, Gue continues, stating that he can pay instead by simply answering a few questions. Seated at the table, Gue asks Yeonho for his name and age. Yeonho replies with his name and says he has just turned 17, shocking Jang with how young he is. Gue reacts with wide-eyed astonishment and questions how he can be only 17 years old. She realizes that someone so young should not be able to possess such an imposing aura. Gue internally repeats his name, Wi Yeonho, recognizing the importance of who he is. Gue thoughtfully touches her chin, repeating Wi Yeonho's name, and then looks up with wide eyes. She asks Yeonho if he is the second son of the noble Wi family in Guangdong. Yeonho asks Gue if she knows him. Gue confirms that she does, explaining that the Guangdong Wi family had requested help to find their young master. Jang reacts with disbelief, immediately asking if Yeonho is Sanho's younger brother. A surprised Yeonho asks Jang if he actually knows his brother. Jang eagerly confirms that he is good friends with Sanho. Gue asks about sending the letter to the Guangdong Wi family, explaining that it will take 10 days to arrive. Jang internally reflects on Yeonho's audacity. Yeonho simply states that he can easily wait, claiming that after waiting 5 years already, 10 more days is nothing. Gue presents a red cloth, noting that this is also something very significant. She holds up the red cloth and explains that it is a VIP client sign for the Hao clan. If he ties this red cloth to his lodging, it will instantly summon an agent. Gue describes Yeonho as a powerful man, a 17-year-old capable of overpowering government officers. Yeonho immediately asks about the fee for this service. Gue dismisses his concern, stating that she is comfortable with the situation. She adds that such power is rare within the current Orthodox faction. Gue thinks to herself that forming a connection like this would only be beneficial to her. Yeonho calls the whole situation a waste. Gue gestures, offering to waive the information fee for him the next time he visits. Yeonho reacts with great surprise to the waived fee, asking if she is serious. Gue looks at Yeonho and states they are making a special exception just for him. Gue explains they do not want recent events to damage the relationship between their clan and Yeonho. Yeonho only smiles mockingly, claiming nothing much actually happened. Jang complains bitterly that he is now broke after emptying his entire secret stash, while Yeonho looks utterly miserable. Yeonho remarks that this is just the way things are, but Jang strongly disagrees. In the bustling market, Yeonho walks away dejectedly alongside Jang, lamenting his misfortune. Jang continues to lament his financial loss, voicing deep regret for his money. Yeonho simply remarks that money can be both present and absent. Yeonho then continues to taunt Jang, stating that a beggar should not be greedy for money and should instead focus on their duty. Jang mentally notes that he cannot beat Yeonho in daylight. Yeonho laughs with a wide, mocking grin. Frowning slightly, Jang asks Yeonho if he now has all the necessary information. Jang continues addressing Yeonho, asking if their business in Kaifeng is finally finished. A woman quickly raises her hand, telling the stitched top-knot man to wait with a hesitant expression. Yeonho then reveals that there is a problem. Jang reacts with an exasperated yell, asking what the issue is this time. Yeonho beams brightly with an innocent smile, stating simply that he has no money. Jang's face immediately contorts into an expression of extreme shock and despair. Jang lets out an angry curse as the scene widens, displaying an ancient architectural complex nestled against lush green mountains under a bright, clear sky. A woman in elegant attire, with composed expression, gazes intently off-panel. Outdoors, Gue calls out to Gongmu, and Gongmu replies to the hall leader. Gue speaks urgently, demanding that word be sent immediately to the main clan. Gue announces that the second son of the Guangdong Wi family has gone missing. Yeonho walks up from the traditional building, carrying a rolled-up bag. Gue declares that Yeonho will return as a martial arts master. A close-up shows Yeonho's serious and determined expression. The journey then takes us to the Songlin Hanlin Great Academy. A person sits contemplatively, gazing out at a palace while holding a cup. The person makes a statement. This person is introduced as Mun Yuan, one of the three great masters, who smiles gently with closed eyes while holding a steaming cup of tea. Yunji calls out to her father, Mun Yuan, and he glances at her. Yunji informs him that a guest is waiting to meet him. The daughter is identified as Mun Yunji. Yuan states he has nothing scheduled for the day. Yunji then informs Yuan that the guest wants to play Go with him. Yuan reacts with surprise, questioning the idea of playing Go. Yunji announces she has brought the guest inside. Yeonho states he is unsure if his sudden visit has been a bother. Yuan replies that the visit is no bother, claiming that guests are drawn by a scholar's elegance. He then asks if Yeonho still wants to play Go with him. Yeonho replies, stating that playing Go is the only thing he knows how to do. Yuan smiles and agrees to a match. Yuan chooses white for the game and tells Yeonho to go first, and Yeonho declares that they should begin. Yeonho's hand hovers gently over the black Go pieces, preparing for his first move. The scarred robe man picks up a black Go piece from the bowl, making a light clinking sound. Yuan thinks to himself that he does not expect much skill from Yeonho, assuming he only came here for food. Yuan decides he will give Yeonho a decent match and help him along. Suddenly, the scarred robe man raises his head, and his gaze turns intense and sharp, revealing formidable skill. Yeonho's hand swiftly places a go piece with precision, slamming the black go piece onto the board. Yuan's eyes widen in surprise, and he questions if Yeonho is truly a beginner. He then contemplates his next move. Yeonho continues to rapidly play the go pieces. Yuan watches intently, realizing how quickly Yeonho is playing, and noting that his energy control does not match his age. The scarred robe man continues to swiftly place pieces, one after another. Yeonho's hand swiftly places yet another go piece on the board. Yeonho rapidly places more go pieces, creating repeated clicking sounds, while Yuan watches him intently, engrossed in thought. More pieces are rapidly placed with forceful clicking sounds, and Yuan's expression shifts to heightened concern and surprise. Yuan's face contorts in tension as he wonders what is occurring. He realizes this intense game is far beyond mere quick play. Yeonho looks forward with a challenging gaze and asks Yuan if he is going to make a move. The go board is set, with the pieces arranged for the ongoing match, and Yuan stares intently, surprised and concerned by a new development. A swirling black and white go stone suddenly engulfs Yuan. He stands resolute, describing the overwhelming attack as an angry storm. He understands that this is not a situation where he can fight. Yuan notes that Yeonho continues his aggressive attacking, like someone obsessed with battle. He understands that Yeonho, his relentless adversary, will seize any advantage. Yuan adds that Yeonho charges in like a mad dog, its monstrous fanged maw and glowing red eyes biting down like a wolf. Yuan looks up toward the ominous, fanged presence of Yeonho, while a glowing go board is visible below him. Yuan concludes that Yeonho is truly a war demon. Yuan remarks on the good match and Yeonho's unique style, and Yeonho offers his thanks. Yeonho explains that his style came from being scolded by a bad master, prompting Yuan to ask if he even had a master. Yeonho appears distressed, recalling past experiences. His master Muhan floats above him making a peace sign, thinking about 10 times more training if Yeonho lost, but only 3 days off if Muhan himself lost. Yeonho confirms that his master was indeed a sly old man. Yeonho thoughtfully asks if he can stay for a while, explaining that his master instructed him to spend time right here in Rulin. Yuan immediately understands that Yeonho is following his master's last wishes, and they quickly offer their help. Yuan tells Yeonho he can stay for as long as he desires. He then instructs Yoonji to prepare a room and clothes for Yeonho, and to guide him to the bathhouse, which Yoonji acknowledges. Yeonho then expresses a concern that he does not have any money for the stay. Yuan smiles broadly and reassures Yeonho that their hospitality is completely free. He states that he wanted Yeonho to stay, even if he hadn't asked permission. Yuan then asks Yeonho if he can occasionally play the game of Go with him or their guests. We see a Go board displayed, covered with many black and white pieces. Yeonho agrees to play Go occasionally. He bows to Yuan and states that he will now leave. Yoonji extends her hand, asking Yeonho to follow her. Yeonho is now relaxing in the steaming bath and lets out a satisfied sigh. He finds the bath to be very nice. He thinks to himself that he used to hate washing so much. Yeonho continues bathing, thinking the water is good and his skin feels better. Muhan is floating quietly above, watching him. Yeonho continues bathing, overcome with satisfaction, and credits Muhan for the pleasant experience. Meanwhile, Yoonji looks contemplative and annoyed, questioning why her father accepted a guest like Yeonho. Yeonho suddenly emerges partially from the water, shirtless and clearly muscular, which deeply surprises Yoonji. She screams in surprise. Yeonho asks her why she is screaming. Yoonji quickly responds, saying she thought Yeonho was a ghost. She hands a towel to Yeonho, telling him to use it to cover up. Yeonho reaches for the towel and lets out a statement. Yoonji looks at Yeonho while she is blushing furiously. Yeonho wraps the towel around his waist and states that he can do it like this. Yoonji looks confused, asking what his identity really is. A few days later, Yoonji demands her father, Yuan, address Yeonho. Yuan holds a book while playing a game and asks her to clarify who she means, realizing she is talking about the newcomer. Yoonji seethes with anger, frustrated by Yeonho peacefully sleeping in the background. She complains that he stays in his room all day, only coming out quickly to eat before falling asleep again. Yuan realizes at this point that he has not even asked Yeonho's name. Yoonji scolds Yuan, reminding him that he taught her gambling was a sin. He listens calmly without reacting. Yoonji continues her statement, reminding Yuan that he always emphasized diligence. She then questions why he does not scold Yeonho for being lazy, stating that everyone in the house is talking about it. Yuan tells Yoonji that he truly enjoys playing Go. He then explains that his enjoyment of Go comes from understanding his opponent. He adds that Go easily reveals intentions, even if words and expressions try to hide them. Yuan then places a white Go piece carefully on the board. He states that a player's nature ultimately determines their game style, explaining that hasty players cannot play slow games, nor can slow players genuinely enjoy fierce battles. Yeonho rapidly places multiple white Go pieces onto the board in an aggressive move. The style of the game vividly reveals the player's true life and character. Yuan notes that Yeonho's Go playing style is endlessly fierce and fast. He declares that he has never seen such an extreme Go style before. Yuan considers that Yeonho must have lived an unimaginably difficult life. He reflects that Yeonho's life must have been unimaginably difficult, and it becomes clear that Yeonho's currently relaxed state is a reflection of a past filled with immense hardship. Building on his reflections, Yuan explains that a bird seeking shelter from the rain should not be turned away. He adds that one should not question why the bird cannot avoid the raindrops, as Yoonji listens nearby. Yuan makes a statement, arguing that he is being deceived and should let the guest rest longer. Yoonji calmly acknowledges the statement, making a quiet internal sound. She remembers her past statement, realizing things are now different. Yoonji observes a messy room filled with dishes. Yeonho lies deeply asleep on the floor, drooling and heavily snoring. As Yeonho drools in his deep sleep, Yoonji furiously thinks her father has been deceived, and she vows to drive Yeonho out. Yoonji stands aggressively over Yeonho and tells him to wake up. Yeonho begins to stir awake on the floor, looking confused and asking why. Yoonji pulls the blanket off Yeonho, telling him to wake up because the sun is already high. Yeonho sits up on the floor, rubbing his head and looking unimpressed, then asks to be told when the sun is setting instead. Yoonji angrily questions Yeonho about his week-long laziness while others are studying. Yeonho looks up disdainfully and states that people study because they want to. He continues, declaring his desire to sleep and seeing absolutely no problem with it. Yoonji argues he is annoying and questions who will wash the blankets because of his constant laziness. Yoonji continues her aggressive confrontation, explaining they also have to cook and will not waste food on someone who only lazes around, asserting that she manages the money. Yeonho then asks what he is supposed to do. Yoonji assigns Yeonho the task of doing the laundry. The dusty outdoor setting shows many stalls and massive piles of dirty laundry. Yoonji feels overwhelmed by the massive quantity of dirty laundry, questioning its extent as she stands with an air of expectation. Yeonho confronts Yoonji, asking if this immense laundry pile is the cost for his meal. She confirms that it is, and he questions the extreme expense. Yoonji then instructs Yeonho to wash the clothes thoroughly. She leans forward and warns Yeonho to wash the clothes properly, or he will have to wash them again. Yoonji looks smug and confident, telling him to wait and see. Yoonji subtly thinks to herself that there is no way he will finish the laundry today. About 2 hours pass. Yoonji's eyes are wide with shock. She seems surprised that Yeonho has finished the laundry. Yoonji questions how all this is happening. She questions if the laundry had always been this color, wondering what Yeonho has done. Clenching her teeth, Yoonji declares she cannot let this situation continue and vows to make him watch as she tightens her fist. The two now stand before a large, daunting pile of uncut logs. Yeonho realizes he must split them all, and Yoonji challenges him to finish within a week, secretly doubting he would last even a single day. Moments later, Yeonho is already lying on the immense pile of freshly chopped wood. Yoonji stares in utter disbelief at the staggering amount, questioning what happened since she calculated that it should have taken 10 strong men 10 days to finish. Next, Yoonji stares in disbelief at an impossibly large stack of sparkling clean dishes. Yeonho is resting among them, having somehow finished the dishwashing too. Looking on in shock, Yoonji exclaims in disbelief at the perfectly cleaned yard. Yeonho rests on the ground near a broom, having completed yet another massive task. Yoonji clenches her teeth and fists, astonished that he managed to finish everything. This marks the beginning of Wi Yeonho's life in Rulin. Jang expresses concern to the great masters, declaring that letting Wi Yeonho into the house was a mistake. When the historian questions his reasons, Jang explains that Wi Yeonho brings disaster with him. He remarks that trouble follows Yeonho everywhere, even if it is not on purpose. He explains that Rulin's Hall of Learning has fallen into utter chaos since Yeonho's arrival. The historian questions what just happened, and Jang begins to explain how everything started. Jang reveals that the chaos began with a Go match. Yeonho looks confused, wondering how he ended up in this situation. He thought he only intended to play a simple Go game with anyone who arrived, believing everyone had received an invitation, which one of the 3 great masters had even sent personally. A man speaks about Yeonho's unique playing style, causing an unseen speaker to become curious and rush over in one night. They note that inviting people directly like this goes against tradition. A hand delicately holds a traditional scroll, which serves as the direct invitation for the Go match. The message explains that a stone that remains still decays, and a game board only waits for its master. Yuan meticulously crafted this message, and the invitation concludes by asking people to visit for a Go match when the time is right. Yeonho rapidly places Go pieces on the board during the intense match at the Hanlim Great Academy. A diverse group of crowds observes the game board as Yeonho's opponent bows in defeat, admitting a complete loss. Showing intense thought, Yeonho calls for the next opponent. An announcement declares the appearance of the Go Saint. A Go piece is placed onto the board, and a man appears stressed and sweating as he struggles with the game. The Go board now displays a particular and confusing move by Yeonho. The man wonders what kind of move this is, trying to understand the perplexing Go piece. He thinks of it as a stone thrown into a dead end. He considers the strategic implications of the move, questioning if it was a mistake, but then dismisses that thought. The man contemplates Yeonho, noting this situation is different from facing a criminal. A title card appears, declaring Yeonho is the Hanlim Go champion. The man realizes Yeonho is someone who has defeated all top-ranked knights. Yeonho, the champion, appears in a close-up, gazing intently. The man realizes there is a definite trick behind this move. He carefully places a black ghost stone, convinced Yeonho's play is bait meant to lure him into a trap, which he must avoid. The man makes his move, still sensing a hidden intention behind Yeonho's previous play. He realizes something is falling exactly as he anticipated and believes he has successfully avoided the trap. The red pattern man's eyes narrow seriously as he contemplates the situation with suspicion. Yeonho's face contorts, and he yells in frustration, demanding to know what went wrong and why his opponent is backing off now. Yeonho reveals he intentionally made that move to let the opponent win, believing that if he loses, this endless game will finally end. He urges the opponent to take his bait, thinking he would lose in 10 moves if the opponent just responded. Suddenly, the man announces his surrender to Yeonho. Yeonho's face is shown in a close-up as tears stream down his cheeks. He feels intense frustration and thinks he is going completely insane. Yeonho walks slowly through a hallway, revealing his internal struggle. He made a reckless move trying to lose, but instead, his opponent panicked and backed off. Yeonho clutches his head, groaning that people will now crowd around him even more, and he considers doing laundry to distract himself. A loud refusal is heard from an unseen person. Yeonho cautiously peeks from behind a pillar into the corridor, wondering what is going on. Nak Mokpung, heavily adorned with gold jewelry, looks down with a questioning expression and demands to know if Yoonji is truly refusing to marry him. Yoonji looks defiantly forward and flatly refuses the proposal, declaring it is not even an option. Nak tells Yoonji that she will regret this refusal, but she immediately declares she will not. Nak asserts his will, telling her she should reconsider because he always gets what he wants. Nak warns Yoonji that his politeness will cease if she continues to refuse, stating his next move will be more than a mere request. Yoonji defiantly raises her hand, challenging him to go ahead and try, warning Nak that Hanlim Academy will not fall easily. Nak looks down condescendingly, dismissing her challenge. He claims he is a step above her, certain that she knows this to be true. Yoonji glares at him with gritted teeth, clearly expressing her hatred for Nak. Yoonji asks Nak if he truly believes the world bends to his will. Nak responds that such a thing is impossible. Yoonji then firmly rejects his marriage proposal, declaring that this is his impossibility. Yoonji turns, announcing she will take her leave, but Nak firmly grabs her wrist, stopping her departure. Yoonji struggles and yells for him to let her go as Nak pulls her close. Nak sternly warns her not to anger him. He leans in aggressively, threatening to take her immediately and asking if she would still be so defiant. Yoonji's eyes go wide as sweat drips from her forehead. Suddenly, Yeonho appears, standing with his arms crossed, telling Nak not to speak so inappropriately in someone else's house. Yoonji immediately demands to know if Yeonho finished the laundry and the firewood. Yeonho looks at her trembling hands and responds that he only played Go, questioning what she is even talking about. Yeonho then casually requests a rope, which surprises Yoonji. A long, red rope unfurls, and Yeonho's hand firmly grips it. He swiftly whips the rope and uses the red ribbon to tie his long hair into a neat ponytail, clearly preparing himself. With his hair secured, Yeonho lifts his head, gazing forward with a focused and determined expression. Nak questions Yeonho, asking if eavesdropping on conversations is rude. Yeonho replies that manners are not a big concern for him. He then challenges Nak's right to talk about manners, pointing out Nak's own lack of etiquette. Nak directly asks if Yeonho is the Hanlim Go champion. Yeonho confirms this recognition, but states he does not know who Nak is. Just as Nak prepares to introduce himself, Yeonho suddenly says he is no longer interested. Nak's face twists in clear humiliation. He turns aggressively to Yeonho, stating Yeonho should have just stuck to playing Go to avoid his bad side. Unfazed, Yeonho replies he feels sorry because Nak is simply too noticeable to avoid. Nak's face contorts in raw fury as he glares intensely and yells an insult at Yeonho. As Nak's rage continues, a crowd quickly forms surrounding them. The gathering crowd questions if someone from the Nak clan is here for a Go match. A man casually invites Yeonho to another match the following day. Nak abruptly turns from the crowd and declares he will leave for the day. He issues a final warning, threatening severe consequences if Yoonji does not come to him within 3 days. Nak declares he will handle the situation his own way otherwise. Yeonho remains silent until Nak leaves, then asks who that man was. The red ribbon woman sighs beside him in exasperation. Yoonji identifies the man as Nak Mokpung. Yoonji explains that he is the adopted son of Nak Ji, the Grand Eunuch who holds all imperial authority. Yeonho then asks Yoonji what such a powerful man wants with her. Yoonji stands deep in thought. Exasperated, Yoonji reveals that Mokpung keeps giving her marriage proposals. She explains she has refused him many times already, finding the whole situation exhausting. Yeonho asks if Mokpung is a decent match for her. He notes that Mokpung is from a good family and appears devoted. Yoonji immediately becomes enraged, threatening Yeonho with death because of his insensitive comments. Yoonji declares that Mokpung only wants to use her, not marry her for love. She continues, explaining that her father is highly respected among scholars and is even considered worthy of a chancellor's seat. Yoonji clarifies that her father lives in seclusion, and it is not just due to a disinterest in politics. Yeonho interrupts her, asking if the seclusion is because of the game of Go. Yoonji denies that Go is the reason, revealing that eunuchs controlling the court are actually keeping her father in check, showing the oppressive control they wield. Yeonho incredulously questions why eunuchs would be keeping an old scholar in check. Yoonji declares that her father is not just any scholar, clarifying further that the Hanlim Academy is not an average scholarly group. Yoonji states that because the Hanlim Academy is not tied to any specific faction, it struggles to establish a base. However, this very independence allows them to build relationships with all major powers. She reveals that the corrupt eunuchs have not been purged because the scholarly factions are not united. Yoonji considers what would happen if her father entered office and unified all the factions. Yeonho asks if that means the eunuchs would be the ones most at risk, and Yoonji confirms his query. She explains that Grand Eunuch Nok has done everything possible to prevent her father from taking office. Yoonji then explains that the Grand Eunuch recently discovered a new method. She considers the new method, noting it avoids the risk of scholars uniting while securing a personal tie with the most influential figure. Yoonji finally reveals that the strategy is to marry her to Nok Mokpung. In another location, Mokpung expresses remorse to his father. He is concerned by the appearance of the Hanlim Go champion, stating that their plan is becoming difficult to proceed with. The Grand Eunuch of the Nok clan, Nok Gi, questions the status of the Hanlim Go champion, asking if the champion is just someone who plays Go all day. Mokpung explains that Yeonho himself is not the issue, but instead, elites from across the nation are gathering to play Go with him. Mokpung states that with too many eyes watching, it is difficult to make a move. He elaborates on the risks, noting that a wrong move could cause major backlash. Nok Gi states that he understands the hesitation. Mokpung apologizes to his father. Nok Gi sets a serious tone for the conversation and prepares to ask a question. Nok Gi asks if the mission is just about Mokpung's personal safety, causing Mokpung to react in sudden shock. Nok Gi explains that taking control of the court is a divine order that comes directly from him. Nok Gi firmly states that failing this mission is absolutely not an option. Nok Gi emphasizes that this mission holds equal importance for both him and Mokpung. He tells Mokpung that he fears displeasing a higher power much more than he fears death itself, asking if Mokpung understands his meaning. Mokpung, overwhelmed by stress, shows his compliance, fully understanding the gravity of the mission and loudly affirming that he clearly understands. Nok Gi calmly brushes his long black hair, reflecting that sometimes a bold move is necessary. Mokpung questions what he means by a bold move. Nok Gi declares that if too many elites are watching, they should use that fact to their advantage. He then gives a chilling command: cut off all their heads. He specifies his command, naming the Hanlim Go champion as a specific target. Meanwhile, the Hanlim Go champion sits weary at the Go board with his eyes closed. An unknown voice chides him to keep his eyes open for the game, causing the champion to groan. Elsewhere, Wang, the chief of the Iasadi and the emperor's younger brother, sits and asks Yuan if he still intends not to take an official position. Yuan offers an apology. Wang asks Yuan why he does not understand his vital role in balancing the central government and stopping Naki from gaining power, but Yuan remains silent. Wang closes his eyes and tells Yuan to listen closely, speaking intensely as he explains that the enemy's recent movements have been highly unusual. Wang explains that Naki is shaking things up, causing even some military figures and scholars to now show signs of disloyalty. Yuan looks up and attempts to object. Wang cuts him off, questioning why a eunuch, unable to have an heir, would even attempt a rebellion. Yuan simply answers yes. Wang extends his hand and asks what Yuan thinks if that eunuch serves someone else entirely. The power struggles among eunuchs are terrifying. We see multiple figures violently fighting with tattered clothes and bloodied faces. Wang notes that Naki has risen to his current position despite having no foundation, defeating all rivals, which seems very strange. Anyone hostile to Naki died either in accidents or suddenly from illness. This situation strongly suggests that someone prepared this position specifically for Naki. Yuan suggests these events might simply be a coincidence. Wang responds that he also believed it was a coincidence, but only until recently. He explains that recent movements have made him change his mind, asking if someone is truly behind Naki. Wang earnestly explains that this is exactly why he needs Yuan, saying he must unite the scholars to oppose their enemies. Yuan says he will think about the proposal more, and Wang clears his throat. Wang changes the subject, asking what kind of person this newly mentioned talent is. Yuan describes the talent as an extraordinary person, explaining that the individual seems to be trying to hide himself. Given Yuan's clear admiration, Wang expresses his own curiosity about this talent and asks when he can meet him. Yuan notes that Yoonji has already left to escort the summoned person. Yoonji then announces their arrival, and Yuan commands her to bring the person in. Yeonho immediately asks why he has been summoned. Yuan apologizes for the early disturbance and asks about his rest. Yeonho confirms he slept well, then jokes that he wishes he could have slept even longer. Yuan acknowledges his good rest, then explains he called Yeonho here to introduce someone. Wang steps forward and describes himself simply as just an old man who happens to be passing by. Yeonho questions Wang about his vague introduction and asks why he is truly here. Wang insists that he only wishes to play a game of Go, which Yeonho seems to understand. Wang reacts with a surprised and disbelieving expression when Yeonho states that playing now is not possible. Wang questions why he cannot play a game. Yeonho confirms the refusal, and Wang explains he has already played games with others at the manor. Yeonho explains that he is not refusing the game itself, but he firmly states that the established order must be followed. Yeonho points out that there are others who came before Wang, and he suggests that Wang must wait his turn. Wang replies confidently that if that is the case, he can easily solve the problem. He proposes that he will simply ask the others for their understanding, so he can go ahead. Yeonho immediately questions if Wang realizes his proposal is not a true solution. Yeonho firmly states that Wang's proposed method is actually coercion. The scarred robe man's words distress the purple hat man, making him sweat, while the bun robe man calmly observes. Yeonho explains that Wang's high position would compel others to comply without having any genuine conviction. He continues, stating that forced compliance will never genuinely convince anyone of the decision. Yeonho declares that he follows his own strict principles and promises, even though that may not always be apparent to outsiders. Wang looks down, clearly deep in thought about Yeonho's unexpected fortitude. He finds Yeonho's resilience troubling and realizes he is currently at a disadvantage. Wang attempts one last time to ask Yeonho for an exception to the rules. Yeonho firmly rejects the plea, insisting that Wang simply must wait his turn. At this point, Yoonji speaks up and addresses her father, Yuan. She states confidently that she can solve this problem immediately. Yuan questions Yoonji's ability to actually solve the current predicament. Yoonji mockingly questions the entire idea of principles and promises that Yeonho has been upholding. She wonders aloud about Yeonho's true nature and intentions. Yoonji then informs a surprised Yeonho that all other scheduled Go games for the day will be cancelled to make time for this immediate match. Yeonho reacts with intense, narrowed eyes. Yeonho's mouth forms an angry snarl as he exclaims in utter disbelief. He proposes a negotiation regarding a delay, citing Yoonji's own principles and duties. Yoonji firmly rejects any possibility of postponement until tomorrow, maintaining an aggressive stance. She states that negotiations are officially over and demands an immediate decision if Yeonho wants to have any rest for the rest of the day. Yeonho declares that the match will begin right now. As the match immediately begins, Wang exhales in frustration, lamenting this terrible situation. He wonders if his opponent is simply full of empty words after all. Wang feels a strong urge to simply leave, but he knows he must finish what he started if he truly wants to understand his opponent. The Go board already holds many pieces, showing just how complex the game is. Wang is discussing the Go game with Yuan, but Wang looks up pensively, recalling a key moment without saying anything. The board reveals a fierce and unique style of play, intense enough to look like it belongs on a battlefield. Wang's eyes widen with a piercing gaze, realizing something intense about Yeonho's life. However, Yeonho's fierce Go playing combined with his usual lazy appearance does not fit the talent Wang is seeking. Wang decides the Go game is a waste of time, as he cannot understand why Yuan holds Yeonho in such high regard. Yuan answers that he has seen exactly why Yeonho is so highly regarded. Curious, Wang asks Yuan what he saw. Yuan explains that while playing with Yeonho, he had a moment where he made what felt like a divine move. Yeonho emphasizes that the move was excellent, even by his own standards. Yeonho explains that he thought the game was already over and stopped looking at the board, but he now observes the Go board, focusing on a look of selflessness. He observes that a person completely immersed in their craft is a rare sight. Purple Hat Man and Cosmic Purple Man stand solemnly in a dim outdoor setting, observing something out of sight. Wang questions Yuan, asking if his observation is correct. Yuan declares that he could not possibly have been mistaken about what he witnessed. Wang then states he has no intention of using Yeonho. Yuan questions this. Wang laments that the situation is a waste of time, but then quickly dismisses that statement, saying it was not a waste because he got to see Yuan acting this way. Wang declares he will leave early the next day. Yuan asks about this urgent schedule. Wang explains that the unfavorable atmosphere is prompting his departure, which Yuan acknowledges. Wang expresses his regret and disappointment, then states it was actually a perfect night with nothing to be sad about. Suddenly, a figure's foot steps down with force. A masked man reports to Mokpung that something is now ready, and Mokpung expresses his approval. From the dark, moonlit sky, masked figures descend, drawing their swords and ready to strike. Mokpung stands prominently as his forces prepare for action. Mokpung commands his group to quickly subdue everyone. An unseen voice yells, "Loyal!" as the masked members drop through the air, swords ready, and initiate their attack. The bun robe man, holding a broom, yawns widely, completely oblivious. His expression quickly shifts to wide-eyed surprise and concern, and a tear rolls down his face. He shouts in shock, finally noticing the disturbing event unfolding around him. The traditional gate is immediately spattered with fresh blood. The masked figures unleash brutal attacks, overwhelming multiple opponents. The defeated figures are violently thrown, impaled, and cry out in pain. Mokpung declares with grim authority that they should have listened to him earlier, and he commands his forces to capture every single person. Mokpung declares that not even a single rat will escape tonight. Yeonho, meanwhile, is sleeping peacefully. Mokpung stands over the fallen bodies as a desperate scream echoes nearby. Masked figures are closing in, and one warns about thieves while another gasps. The masked figures deliver another brutal slash, causing an opponent to scream and fall back, covered in blood. The other dark-hooded ninjas remain poised for combat. The masked figures then pin a citizen to the ground with a weapon, forcing them to groan in pain. Mokpung states they should have listened to him earlier. He then orders everyone arrested. Yoonji stands with an intense and concerned expression, remarking on the terrible timing of these events. Mokpung grimaces intensely, sneering with determination as he asserts his dominance. He proclaims he will break her arrogance. Yuan and numerous others are now bound with red ropes and forced to kneel. Yuan demands to know the meaning of this. Mokpung explains that they received intelligence about suspicious activities at the Hallam Grand Estate, a place frequented by influential people. Yuan immediately questions what is so suspicious about that. Mokpung continues, questioning why influential people with both power and authority would gather together. He declares the influential gathering is treason. Yuan denies the accusation of treason, explaining they only gathered to play Go. Mokpung questions if he expects him to believe all those influential people gathered simply to play the game of Go. The captives remain bound by thick red ropes, clearly helpless and restrained. Yuan continues pleading his case, stating it is the truth and asking if they have heard the rumors about the Hallam Master of Go. Mokpung responds that he has heard rumors, but counters that rumors can be fabricated at any time. Mokpung delivers a final, ominous statement, and then asks about the Hallam Master of Go. A dark-hooded mask reports that no one else was found on the estate. Mokpung thinks the target must have departed earlier, then promises Yuan their release and an apology if the investigation proves them innocent. Suddenly, a dark-hooded mask announces a discovery to Mokpung and presents a document. The object is revealed to be a collective oath document. Mokpung proclaims this is proof of the treason plot. Yuan and the other tied captives react with shock and outrage, shouting they have never heard of a collective oath before. Mokpung presents the collective oath document, confronting the tied captives. He questions how they can still deny the plot with such clear evidence right before them. Yuan realizes that Mokpung's people had planned this entire setup from the beginning, understanding he has been completely tricked. The citizen and the other tied captives scream their innocence, denouncing the situation as unfair and stating they know nothing. Wang stands bound before the other kneeling captives and addresses Mokpung, noting he is doing something interesting. Mokpung looks up with surprise. He begins to speak, starting to identify the person addressing him. Mokpung quickly recognizes him as Prince Li Wang, head of the royal censorate. Wang furiously demands they address him as censor general. The captives look terrified and confused upon seeing Wang. They all address him by his full royal title, Censor General Prince Li Wang. The distressed captives express relief, believing they are now saved. They think His Highness will know their innocence after witnessing everything. Mokpung states he would not have acted so roughly if he had known His Eminence was present. Wang states he would not be bound by such things and commands them to quickly unbind the captives. Mokpung states he has something to ask before they proceed. Wang questions what he has to ask. Mokpung then questions Wang about plotting treason. Mokpung reveals his malicious intent. He asks if Wang truly thought he did not know he would be there. This malicious revelation leaves Wang in utter shock. Wang reacts defensively, angrily calling Mokpung a villain and questioning his statement. Wang is subdued on the ground after Mokpung's revelation, restrained by two masked figures. Mokpung states that if treason exists, Prince Li, as a royal family member, had to be its center. Wang denounces Mokpung as an insolent wretch with immense arrogance. Wang glares defiantly with intense anger. His face contorts in rage as he shouts back, denying the accusation of treason. Wang proclaims that none of them will get away with their actions. Mokpung asserts they are mistaken and will be unable to inform His Majesty of this. Mokpung declares Wang will never see His Majesty again. Mokpung proclaims that treason means immediate execution and they will all die. He explains the collective oath found on this estate proves Prince Li and many influential people plotted treason. Mokpung states that anyone, including His Majesty, would recognize this as a deliberate plot of treason. Wang glares angrily and curses Mokpung, saying heaven will not forgive them. Mokpung tells the captives to continue begging. Mokpung is preparing to continue his statement when he decides that one person among them must die first. Mokpung calls out Yunji's name, and she looks up defiantly. Mokpung stands over Yunji, reminding her he had warned her about handling things his way. Mokpung leans closer, telling Yunji her rejection is why everyone will now die. He asks her how she feels about the situation now. Yunji spits on Mokpung's face, shocking him. Yunji shouts that she would rather die than marry such a person. Mokpung's eyes are wide and his tongue lolls out, making a slurping sound with sinister pleasure. Mokpung mockingly reassures her he would not kill her. Mokpung announces he would make Yunji wish she were dead. He dares her to imagine the worst possible pain. Mokpung then promises Yunji a suffering dozens of times worse than anything she can conceive. Yunji rejects the threats, stating she would rather die than face humiliation. Mokpung responds by sarcastically questioning her resolve. Mokpung threatens that if Yunji takes her own life, her father will suffer the exact same fate. He warns Yuan that if he takes his life, others will also suffer. Mokpung warns them that these are not even all the people involved in the consequence. He warns them that treason calls for the extermination of 9 generations and dares them to die if they truly wish to. Yunji's face contorts with anguish and defiance. Mokpung cruelly grabs Yunji's hair, forcing her head back as she cries out in pain. He mockingly dares her to die, stating that others will suffer consequences in her place. Mokpung leans over Yunji's pained face, his ringed fingers approaching as he menacingly asks if they should finally begin. Yunji desperately cries out for someone, shouting desperately for help. After her desperate pleas, Yunji's face becomes shadowed and expressionless, with faint bloodstains visible on her cheek. Meanwhile, under the night sky, Yeonho runs stealthily across a rooftop, cautiously looking around as if searching for a goal. He swiftly leaps from one rooftop to another, landing smoothly and maintaining his balance as he moves forward. Yeonho lets out a joyful laugh on the rooftop, raising his arm high. Yunji questions what he is doing. Yeonho answers with annoyance, declaring that he is running away. He stands on the rooftop with his hands up in exasperation as Yunji questions how he can so openly declare his intent to flee. Looking annoyed, Yeonho questions why he cannot simply say he is running away. He asks if his educated background means she dislikes his specific phrasing. Yunji pleads for help, claiming she is barely surviving, while Yeonho smiles slyly. She urges Yeonho to assist them, reminding him that he knows martial arts. Yeonho advises everyone to pretend they saw nothing for their own safety and to go back to what they were doing. Yunji, Wang, and Yuan's eyes widen, and their mouths hang slightly open as they harshly declare they have never seen such worthless behavior. Mokpung commands everyone to stop. He accuses Yeonho of treason for running away, warning him that he will be hunted and unable to escape anywhere. Yeonho states they will not know if he can escape until he tries. He continues to shout, asserting that the world has officials everywhere and finding one person is nothing to them. Yeonho says he is leaving and can be looked for later. The spiky rooftop man makes a swift and rapid departure. Mokpung's eyes widen in disbelief and fury as he commands his men to catch Yeonho. The silver-masked man lets out an exasperated sound and moves with swift, forceful intent. He violently lunges downwards, launching a powerful attack. Yunji urgently urges Yeonho to flee the scene. Yeonho feels the irony, noting that Yunji asked him for help, but now she is telling him to run away. He then wonders what exactly he should do next. The masked figure recoils in shock, questioning if they are only seeing an afterimage. Yeonho's attack violently strikes the ground, creating a massive impact that fragments the area and sends debris flying everywhere. Someone gasps at the sight. Yeonho acknowledges the situation he is in. Yunji looks on with a wide-eyed and bewildered expression.